Here are 4 truths that should help us become more patient with other people, with ourselves, and with Jesus' plan. The first truth: people grow organically, so be more patient with them. Be more patient with yourself. St. James writes today, "The farmer waits for the precious crop from the earth, being patient with it until it receives the early and the late rains. You also must be patient." Farming is organic, so the farmer, they have to wait for the rain, they have to wait for the sun, so nothing happens quickly. The same goes with people. It takes them years to grow. One of the most helpful things I ever heard was from Deacon Andrew. One time we were meeting and he told me to be more patient with other people. And he said that when he was in his 40s, Jesus was not the center of his life. And so I thought, wow, if Deacon Andrew can come so far over decades, then I too, I can wait for people, the people I love, so that they eventually will love Jesus. I can wait. I just wish they'd hurry up. One family psychologist noted, if you remind your children every day to say please and thank you, if you remind them for 10 years, that's going to be over 3,000 times. That's how long it takes. And someone said to that psychologist, someone said, "You have very good children." And he said, "Yes, I do, but give them another 20 years. That's when we'll find out for sure, because parenting is a 30-year investment. It's a 30-year process." In the future, we'll do another homily on what are the limits of patience, but that's for another time. Today, the focus is just becoming more patient like God. The farmer still has to work hard, but does so calmly. A very wise man said to me when we were talking about Catholic churches becoming renewed, he said, "Father, it's going to take a whole generation." Wow, maybe let's say 25 years. So I started thinking, okay, maybe it'll take St. Anthony's another 16 years to become really spiritually healthy as a culture. So I'm going to be 58 then. Deacon Andrew will be 86. And our current kindergarten students, they will have finished, let's say, first year college or university. How old are you going to be in the year 2038? Second truth: God the Father always comes through on his promises. That means we're going to get everything we need, but it also means we probably won't get everything we want. St. James says, "Be patient, brothers and sisters, until the coming of the Lord. Strengthen your hearts, for the coming of the Lord is near." This letter was written by St. James to Christians who had been forced because of persecution to leave their homes and their towns. So they're really suffering, and they're waiting on the Lord to come through. So they were very aware, what did Jesus promise? Can we be just very honest? What did Jesus promise? He never said our life is going to be easy. And this is really important because sometimes I meet people who, they have really weird expectations of God. Jesus never said we're not going to suffer. Come on, that's just the human experience. Everyone suffers, and Christians suffer if we're going to do the right thing. So Jesus never said the people we love are going to be cured of cancer. He never said, for example, like, we're all going to have enough money to live in Vancouver. We might not. Or that all the people we love are going to thrive. So we strengthen our hearts today by rooting them in reality. We root them in Jesus' promises. So Jesus said, we'll never be tried beyond our strength. You can count on that. Never beyond our strength. But might mean we will never get everything we want. And when St. James talks about the coming of the Lord, so Jesus will grant us justice. So wicked people will be punished, and the righteous will be rewarded. That will happen soon. We don't know when, but Jesus will come through on that one. Third truth: going to confession makes us more patient. So when we go to confession, usually that day we're more loving with other people. We are more aware, kind, patient. We don't complain or gossip as much. Why? We're more aware of our own sins. We're more aware of God's judgment on us. So if you find you are impatient, you might want to go to confession just a bit more. One spiritual author said that the best way to grow in humility, just think about your own sins. The same goes with patience. You want to be more patient? Just think about your own sins and how God is patient with you. Fourth truth, follow the saints. They were heroically virtuous. St. James, as an example of suffering and patience, brothers and sisters, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord. Today we hear that Jesus calls St. John the Baptist, he's the greatest of the prophets. And what's really interesting is that we see him suffer today. So we know from the historian Flavius Josephus that John was held in the fortress of Machaerus, east of the Dead Sea. These pictures, they give us a better idea of what was probably going on in John's life. So he had been arrested because he told King Herod not to commit adultery. So he was wrongfully arrested, probably led up this hill in chains. And so what was he thinking? He was doing God's will, and now he's suffering for it. And now it says in the gospel today, we can extrapolate from this that he was allowed visitors. And he sent his disciples to Jesus with this question: are you the one who is to come, or are we to wait for another? So we could surmise from this question that his faith was being tested, right? Because he's starting to doubt, is Jesus really the Messiah? Because he's being tested. He's in prison. He's thinking, what did I do wrong? Is God abandoning me? Maybe Jesus will come and save me. I don't know. Is he the one who is to come? Is he the Messiah? And so Jesus sends him the response: go and tell John what you hear and see. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have good news brought to them. And blessed is anyone who takes no offense at me. Jesus is the Messiah, and it's really important to know that all these physical healings, these miracles, they're just signs of his main mission, the mission to heal the soul, to heal us of sin. And this is why, if you get that, then you understand why Jesus doesn't save John in prison, because John is his cousin, 6 months older. He doesn't even save his own cousin because he's not here primarily to save the body, but to save the soul. And so John recognizes that, and so he's patient. He's patient with Jesus' plan. So he stays in the fortress until he gets his head chopped off by King Herod. And when the daughter of, Herodias dances for Herod, asks for his head on a platter. So John is faithful to the end. He's patient with Jesus' plan. And what's beautiful is that he is vindicated, but be very clear, he's only vindicated after his death. Sometimes God only vindicates us after we die. There is a saint named St. John Henry Newman. In the 1800s, a lot of his theological ideas were rejected by other theologians, and he was vindicated, but about 70 years after he died. And I think of some people here. They donated to our parish center for years, and they've died before they'll ever see it completed. But they were always trusting in God's timing. Very patient. So, always resist impatience when it comes. When you feel it coming, resist it. Try to look at reality the way God does. You have to look at it in terms of eternity and in light of the goal. He wants to make us saints. So now we're still in Advent. We're waiting for Jesus to come. And today we remember God the Father is the most patient farmer. And patience means seeing things the way he does.